City Council and Board of Library Trustees, it's my extreme pleasure to welcome you here today to our dedication of the new West Point Branch Library. We have come here today to celebrate the splendid new facility which you have built together as citizens, users, and active supporters of our city's library services. The intelligent and dynamic management of this city has made this possible in an era which is so filled with economic disillusionment. With critical problems restraining municipal governments in every other city and town in Massachusetts, our mayor, city council, and library trustees have been able to expand our library system. Peabody is an example for the entire Commonwealth. The public library is an institution entirely dependent upon local enthusiasm and interest for its growth and development. And it is a source of local pride because it was started with vision and commitment. A new library, though, is about more than bricks and boards and colorful furnishings. The library is about the services we provide to you. And it is about the people who use their library. Your library is effective only if it is used. Happily, over the past 3 years, we have seen a dramatic increase in usage of the library, as well as an increase in our services and collections. More and more citizens are using our Peabody libraries. Because of this utilization, this new branch came into reality. As our country has changed over the past 200 years, there are no longer citizens like the George Peabodys and the Andrew Carnegies of the past who openly committed vast sums of money for educational advancements. The great philanthropists are gone, but without the efforts of those people, libraries as we know them today would not exist. The Peabody Institute Library first opened in 1853, made possible by a gift from George Peabody. It had 1,500 books on its shelves. 4 years later, in 1857, our first branch library was opened. In 1866, that branch became a public library for the town of Danvers. I sincerely hope this new branch does not share the history of its early For the next 90 years, there were no branch libraries in Peabody. Then, in 1957, exactly 100 years after our first branch was opened, branch service returned. It was known as the West Branch Library. Throughout the years, the West Branch experienced a series of homes, from spaces in a school, a shopping plaza, a fire station, and a clubhouse. None of these buildings were designed as libraries. They were merely conveniently located and available structures. This building, where we are today, was designed with the library user as a foremost consideration. So personally, I wish to thank the Board of Library Trustees and its chairman, whose planning has enabled the development of this new addition to our library services. The mayor for his thoughtful efforts in making the expansion financially possible. The City Council for their continuing support of our libraries. Our friends groups for their assistance. And finally, the library staff, whose hard work, dedication, and conscientious efforts have significantly contributed to making this day possible. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mary Ann. I next call on, there is an expression everybody refers to our city fathers. Well, we have a city mother. And it gives me great pleasure at this time to call on the president of the City Council, Sharon, Kokoras, for a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. As president of the City Council, I'd like to welcome all of you here today and to enjoy all of the facilities that this library has to offer us. The City Council has pledged 100% of its support for this building, and now we need 100% support from the people who are standing in this room today to show their support by using the library facilities. It's open to all of us. It has space for everyone, from the young to the old, and we all can get something out of this beautiful building. So I hope that everyone will take an opportunity to come back when it's not quite so crowded and enjoy the facilities and just enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I introduce the next speaker, I'm taking the privilege as chairman of the board just to say a few words. I was talking to Mike Bonfanti before we're outside having a few refreshments, and as you know, Mike is on the electric light board, and Mike was saying, you know, Al, this goes back to about 10 years, or 12 years when we first started trying to make plans to get the mayor and the city council interested and to get a new West Peabody branch library off the ground. And I just wanted to throw out a few statistics to the general public. Some of you may be aware of it, I think some of you are not. And I just want to mention something to you that's quite interesting, that in 1988, this branch library here, the West Peabody Branch Library, was offering programs for the children to the amount of 52 for the year. And then in 1989, it jumped up to 69 programs. In 1988, we had 784 children attend the programs. And in 1989, we had 1,401 children come through the doors of our library. So you can well imagine, we can anticipate what's going to be here in the future with such a beautiful edifice. And I think it goes without saying that if it wasn't for the foresight of the mayor and our city fathers, this would not be here today. And I think when I say for myself and on behalf of the members of the Board of Trustees and the director and the assistant director and the entire staff, we certainly say thank you very much to our mayor and to our city fathers and mothers. The other thing I think the public should be made aware of was that approximately 2 weeks ago, the library was endowed with a gift, another gift I should say, by His Honor the Mayor and the City Council has approved it, was for $50,000 for new books. And today, while I was munching my celery piece, the mayor came over to me and says, Albie, I got a little present for you. Well, when he said for me, he meant for the board and he meant for the staff. A commitment for another $50,000. So I think that the citizens of this community can realize what a wonderful mayor we have, wonderful city fathers and mothers that we have that take this interest in us as adults, but especially with the children. And frankly, I really hope and pray that in the future, or whoever the mayor will be, he or she, after the next 20 years when Peter gets done, whether it be he or she, and that our city fathers, whether they be he or she's also, shall maintain the same interest in this community, especially in education, in reading, and the programs for these children. And again, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you. So at this time, without future words, let me introduce to you the Honorable Mayor Peter Trigian, our city mayor.
Thank you, Albie, and distinguished members of the City Council and library staff and citizens of Peabody and friends and all that. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and obviously I'm overwhelmed that so many people have come out to see the library and to take such an interest. And I want to thank Albie and all those who worked so very hard to make it happen. Someone prepared something for me, and I think it's probably the best thing for me to do. Let me first of all say that, as some of you know, that this used to be the old West Branch Library, West Peabody Men's Club in 1930. And probably late in the middle 40s, I used to ride by here on a truck going into West Peabody to work on the farm. I'm not that old, by the way, but as a youngster. And over the years, I honestly believe, and it's not a criticism of anybody, that libraries were a forgotten part of our community and forgotten part of our educational system. And we have, since 1979, made a major commitment to libraries and the importance of libraries, and to the tune of 400% increase in funding for libraries in our city. But I think it goes beyond that, I think many times people judge a community by their commitment to schools, libraries, and other types of similar facilities which improves the quality of life in our city. And I hope, as Sharon said and others have said, when you leave today, encourage your youngsters or yourself to come back and to utilize this facility. Because it would be a shame when there are so many other needs in society to spend $1.5 million and not to utilize this to the extent it should be. So I just want to, there's a number of people that have to be thanked, and I'll try not to miss anybody, and if I do miss you, please forgive me, because it's not intentional. First of all, I want to thank the City Council. I say this, and I mean it, that over the years, that we can debate and be on different sides of an issue, but if we constantly debate and are constantly on the wrong side of each other's issue, then nothing gets accomplished. And you can see that happening in other communities. And it's not to say that I'm always right, or they're always right, or I'm always wrong, or whatever the case may be. It is clear that you have to have a partnership that works, and I want to thank each and every one of them for their support for every appropriation in regards to libraries. I want to thank all the members of the trustees, past and present and past, for their support and input during this whole process. This process, by the way, started on June 1st of 1987. Albie mentioned 10 years ago, and I remember Mike Bonfanti saying, we ought to build a library, we ought to go to the County School, we ought to, and we never could get a consensus of what should be done. And which leads me to my next thank you. I want to thank those people in the planning process. To build a library of this size, you cannot just go out and drop the building in place. You have to determine what the needs are. How large will this community be? How many volumes of books do we need? What will be the future needs? And how much will it cost, and how will we pay for it? And who will design it, and who will build it? And who will be the clerk of the works? And who will ultimately be able to turn the key in that door and say, it is now completed, and rest assured that your dollars are spent wisely. And that process started on June 1 of 1987. We had a feasibility study. We had contracted with Design Partnership with the architects. And by December, I do have something to show us December in a minute, of 1988, we broke ground, just to start the process, and officially construction started in February of 1989. And here we are. We could have actually opened the building in December. The problem was we had nowhere to sit and no furniture, but we're just about there with 80% of our furniture in, and with the circulation test due in next week. But leads me to my next thank you, and that's Ann Tricarico. I think that the Board of Trustees are fortunate that they have someone who is a professional, who does not get involved in the politics of the world, but deals specifically with the issues. And I think it's important that you have someone at that level who can come into the libraries and deal with the trustees and the city council strictly from a professional basis, technical basis and not have to worry about the politics of it. She's done everything from working with Dan Doucette and Judy Otto from Community Development and putting together the feasibility study till about 3 weeks ago, with her dungarees on, stacking books in the shelves, which tells me a little bit about people when they're willing to throw the shirts and ties and the dresses and put on the old clothes and roll up the sleeves and make that commitment to their community. And I want to thank Mary Ann for all that. I want to thank Dan Doucette, Steve Zabo. Dan was the help design and purchasing agent who helped design put together the RFP. Steve Zabo, Director of Finance, Dennis Zagler, Judy Otto, Kyle Jansen, who was the clerk of the works, is Kyle here. Clark, if there's anything that is out of place, any window sills that are crooked, any door jams that are wrong, Kyle's responsible. Jack Brennan also, who worked with Kyle and has done a lot of clerk work jobs for us over the years. The architect, Wilson Raines, Dave Finney, John Chicola, Judy Epstein, and Nicholas Wagner, and all the subcontractors that they had who worked with them. And the musicians, the caterer, you're going to hear from Dan Shanahan shortly, Bob Oliver, the Peabody Arts Council. And let me just conclude by saying a couple more things. What you see here is we're disappointed the landscaping is not done, but that will be done very shortly. It's in the budget, and it will be attractive. And on the other side of the building will be a children's play area with fencing, and which will give the youngsters an opportunity not only to be in the children area inside, but also enjoy the good days outside with the staff. And by the way, when I mention the word staff, outstanding staff, selected by Dr. Mary Ann Tricarico, selected strictly on merit, and has done an excellent job in putting together what I believe is probably the best laboratory staff in the area, and she should be congratulated for that. And I'd like to also point out two important things to me. Not to sound self-serving, but to build buildings such as this costs a lot of money. And a lot of times we read about overruns and the inefficiencies of government. And all the people I had just mentioned, inspectors, and director of finance, and purchasing agents, and library directors, and so forth, and trustees, and so forth. This building came in slightly under budget. I think it speaks well for those in this community who believed in some of the things we were doing and supported some of the things we were doing. And just to highlight to you that it has been $18 million in the last 6 years in capital projects, including the library, that have not, a dime has been borrowed on it. And my next goal, if we can do it, it's being designed now, and which runs similar to a library, improves the quality of life. In this case, the seniors, we hope to build a $4.5 million senior center that's under design that will supplement libraries and supplement schools and supplement educational and recreational facilities in terms of providing the quality of life that our city rightly deserves and should have. And if we work together and continue to work together, we can have. And let me just close by saying, if I sound a little bit mellow today, it's because it's, for me, it's an exciting day. We said we would build this library at some point, and we asked the council to authorize the bonding for it, and said to them, we may not borrow if we luck out. And I just want to inform them that despite the fact, and it's not a criticism, again, we were promised a $150,000 grant for the state to help pay for part of this, which we never received. I want to thank the council for supporting that appropriation, which put the total appropriation at $1.5 million. So come back tomorrow, come back next month, come back particularly when the spring is halfway over, so that you will see some of the additional improvements that we'll be making. So in closing, Albie, I want to thank you and the trustees and council and all the people who took the time to be here. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, this community can be whatever you want it to be. No one individual makes it happen. But if you believe, if you trust, if our government has credibility, then you will support some of the things that you criticize today in other levels of government. And I ask you, before you do that, or criticize, then ask, call. Ask us why we're doing things before you beat us up. And I say that, and you have a right to question. And you should ask. But you should also support it if you think it's right. And I hope that we can develop this type of partnerships and to have groundbreakings for senior centers, elderly projects, and recreational facilities, and to continue to do these types of things despite the doom and gloom you hear every day, because I believe that will turn when people reach their senses and we realize that we have an obligation to society. So with that, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. It's a pleasure to be here. Someone said I should take a picture of before, present the library with a groundbreaking picture. Sorry, I forgot. I said it was on December 7th. 7th? 14th. Present this to the library if I can help you with that. You notice the council president has her fur coat on. I want to present this. This was the beginning of the construction of this building, and hopefully next year we can put a picture of the building when it's totally completed with the landscaping and so forth. So I will present this to you.
I'm now going to call upon His Honor to make some presentations of awards, and the mayor will read the respective individual's name. We are asking the individual to please come forward.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of certificates and a lot of little gifts, and the reason for it, they're not expensive, but it's a way. I didn't mean to sound that way. They're really 22 karat gold. I guess what I was trying to say is it's a way of saying thank you to people that sometimes we take people for granted who do a whole lot of things for us. In some small way, we can give a token of our appreciation, and I think it's important we do that. First is the President of the Board of Trustees, Albert Cohen. For the sake of time and also because of a low budget, they all say the same thing. It says this certificate of recognition is presented to President Albert Cohen in grateful appreciation for your support of the West Branch Library, dedicated March 1990, signed by the library director, Mary Ann Tricarico. Marie Bayer. Marie is a member of the Board of Trustees. Donald Clark, member of the Board of Trustees. You left, okay. James DeCools. Rosa Drysdale. President of the Historic Society, member of the Historic Commission. She also runs Yatskas. John Flanagan. Richard Jarvis. Stephanie Papagiannopoulos. Francis Lyons. Janet Reynolds. Janet is a trustee, and Francis Lyons is also a member of the Board of Trustees. Judith Shimkis is a member of the Board of Trustees. Design Partnership of Cambridge. Central Life. Dan Blannerow. Ralph DeAngelis. These are people who have made contributions to the library in terms of gifts. And, Martha Gordon, Lord Milton. Nicole Veranda. Is Nicole here? Oh, yeah. Steve Hendrickson from Christian Book. Christopher Mello from Christopher Mello. Robert Oliver, Peabody Arts Council. Skip and Libby Parsons. Mr. and Mrs. Edmund Popeil.
On Gina Hagan, she was here with her sister Jody. They provided the beautiful violin music while everybody was having a nice little meal in the main lounge, I should say, which I want to thank the Guild very much. They did a beautiful job of playing music. I'm going to call upon Gina now to make a special presentation. Gina?
Gina Hagan is an artist, as well as a member of our staff and a musician and a full-time college student. And we have asked her to do a special drawing for the mayor. And we would like to present this to you on your birthday.
Thanks very much. The music was excellent, and I really appreciate it. And what else can I say? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mayor. Happy birthday to you. Thanks very much. It says 36 on it. I want to thank everybody, the staff and Mary Ann and Megan. I think it's, I guess it tells you about the quality of people we have in caring people, and I really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Before I call on our next guest, I just want to take the liberty, Mayor. I know you thanked everybody that had to do with the construction and the trustees and et cetera, and the clerk of works, but I think there were two other gals that contributed a lot to it, and I think the Board of Trustees would like to extend their thanks to your personal secretaries, Debbie McGregor and Mary Stewart. The staff and the board really appreciate your efforts. Thank you very much. Proceeding along with our program, we have with us today a gentleman by the name of Daniel Shanahan. Dan resides here in Peabody. He's been living here for about 3 years. He is busy with his occupation as a director of sales with Boston Tech, which is a high technology firm in Cambridge. And Dan has got a beautiful, beautiful hobby, and that is the writing of poetry. And in honor of this occasion, we have asked Dan to come here and recite for us original compositions of his, which is a salute to the dedication of the West Branch Library. So it gives me great pleasure to present to you Dan Shanahan. Dan?
Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to say that I'm really honored to be participating in this event. It is really, and having been writing poetry since I was 15, it's really unusual to have a poet participate in a public event like this, and to have a community that draws upon an artist or artists to participate in the progression of development and quality of life in a community is really is a real blessing in us all. So I really appreciate being here. I'm going to start out the reading first of all by reading from a text that's probably a couple of 100 years old that describes what Peabody was like before it was Peabody. We all know that Peabody really grew out of Salem and then Danvers. And this is just probably half a minute of text on what people saw back in the 17th century. There are rough acclivities from which are fine views of the neighboring towns, precipitous glens, dark woods, lakes reflecting the blue of heaven, and brightly glancing streams murmuring along the sward with liquid sounds of peace. Broad savannas waving with rustling grass, yellow with golden corn, or embrowned with the shadow of sturdy trees that are white with blossoms, or bend low with mellow fruit, relieved by billowy hills that swell along the landscape, or dotted with villages and solitary residences and farmhouses. The scene is beautiful, as well as suggestive of industry and of peace. It's 300 years ago. And you can see that much of the development here in Peabody is, especially where I live, right over here in West Peabody, it's like an aviary. There's trees for birds, and it's really a great place to live. The following poem is going to, it's called The Flower Man. And after I read the poem, I'm just wondering if I could ask you to raise your hand if you're familiar with the figure that I'm talking about. The Flower Man. Under the bridge at Route 1 in Peabody, a man sells flowers out of his pickup. Pigeons fly in and out of the girders. The flower man fills the houses of Peabody with blossoms. After 30 years as a crane operator, now all the cops know him, stop to chat the crimes from their cruisers. I need him. The pigeons need him. The marriages and the kids who wait in the car will need him, and a man like him in the years to come. They will need a flower man under the bridge. They will need to know how to love their lovers with flowers and lay wreaths of remembrance on the dead. Poetry to me is a reflection of what's common and what's most beautiful. And the following poem is written from my backyard in West Peabody. And it's called December, West Peabody, 1988. The fine bones of trees gather in the darkness from the great will of night, moving slowly through the clouds like ancient freighters on the China Sea. Today, I breathe in the air that chilled the body of Jesus 2,000 years ago and warmed the currents of the Nile where Moses was born to power and doubt. Behind my house, I look out across the highways of many histories and await for the return of more common gods. The purple finch and his mate, who will taste the sweetness of freshly cut apples hidden in the wheatberry and wild corn seed. And the last poem is called Somewhere There Was a God. And there's a bridal wreath, a bush behind the house, that I take great pleasure in its blooming in the spring. And the name of this poem is Somewhere There Is a God. The light is changing now. In the branches of the bridal wreath, glowing gold and burned orange, the colors of the pillowcases you made. Somewhere here there is a god, or the spirit of an animal, a goose or a fox, dancing around a fire.
Now, let me see what else. Oh, yes. Okay. We're organized here. Now I'd like to call our director, Mary Ann, to come forward. Sorry, I know you made a speech, but you stand right next to the mayor here. You know, Mary Ann, everybody has bosses. I've got two bosses. I got my wife, and I've got my fellow board of trustees to contend with. So when they issue a command, the command goes forth, and by directive, I'm here standing alongside of you. And I've been directed to read a letter to you, if I may. Dear Dr. Tricarico, the Board of Trustees have asked me to convey to you their heartfelt thanks for your tireless efforts on behalf of our new West Branch Library. Your leadership in this matter has once again demonstrated to our community the wisdom of the Board of Trustees in selecting you to be the director of our library system. The Board of Trustees felt that on this auspicious occasion, a special gift should be granted to you, and that the gift should be a very, very personal one. Furthermore, the board, in their infinite wisdom, felt that you would appreciate many evenings of relaxation throughout the year to help you through the long hours of your position as a director. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure at this time to present to you on behalf of the Board of Trustees a one-year subscription to the Boston Ballet Theatre.
It has been a pleasure and a thrill to be involved in this project, and I sincerely hope that you appreciate it as much as we've enjoyed building this library for you. And we look forward to seeing you all as active library users. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Don't go away. The gifts are coming. The gifts are coming. I would like to call on now the Director of Branch Services, Silna Rego, Helen Haggerty of the South Branch Library, and Marcia Cohen of the West Branch Library.
I'd rather be on the other side of the building with the 4-year-olds, but today I'm here with Helen and Marcia. And just to tell you, we're thinking about the librarians are very peculiar, you know. They're kind of a different bunch of people. Some people say librarians all deliver their babies overdue. And we just had that happen, right, with one of our colleagues. And some people say the librarians are always checking you out. Well, we have a head librarian that's very unique. She has wonderful talents and different characteristics. She's a runner, and she's an archaeologist. But we also found out this past year that she is an excellent building inspector. And don't you agree with me, Mayor? If we look at the facility, you can see that she really respected this building. Every Wednesday, where's Mary Ann? At the West Branch. So the builders all knew her. So Mary Ann, from all your staff, from the branch services, we have a little present for you that will make you think about the holidays and building the West Branch.
Color schemes of our buildings.
One careful way. So now, besides a doctorate degree, you got an engineering degree. Soon here in this. Well, now we come to the end of these exercises, and I do want to thank everybody that did take the time to come out here today. And after Father Booth will give the closing benediction, I'm inviting all you people to certainly go back outside. We've got plenty of food, and there's plenty of staff around to give you a tour of the library so that you can enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I really, really want to thank everybody for tuning out.